I have been looking at this headline for a while now, since the country was plunged into a crisis by the Gen Zs. And William Ruto, instead of confronting the major issues that were put before him by Gen Zs, he opted to go to Raila and told him, let us form a coalition government so that we can have the numbers, thereby thwarting the issues that were raised before him, issues that were very pertinent to the country. And the headline is, Ruto Raila plan major changes to the constitution. If you ask me, this is Raila's idea. Raila has been a proponent of our constitution, and he says that even the American constitution has been amended, I don't know how many times, very many times. And somehow he believes that when the country is in a crisis, it is the best moment for people to look into areas, what the areas that we can change. The truth is, when we promulgated the new constitution, there were two schools of thoughts. William Ruto was in the camp that opposed that constitution, and he said that constitution was poisonous and there was no way, or there was no reason of passing it. But the proponent of the constitution, Raila among them, said we have a small percentage that would be looked into later. And people passed it, but Kenyans agreed that we would later look into those areas and try and amend them. And I feel that that is where Raila is coming from. They're now saying that they want to make major changes. No wonder that is the rallying call, that people need to talk. And that is what you've heard the church saying, the civil rights group are talking about. Gen Zs are saying there's nothing to talk about. All we want, we have presented a memoranda to Ruto's table, and he needs to act on them. But some experts are saying that yes, acting on them would be temporary. That for us to take the country forward, we need to look at the country holistically and see areas that we need to change. But another school of thought says that we already have a constitution. The problem that we have is that people disregard and disobey the constitution with a lot of impunity, knowing very well that nothing will happen to them. That if we had a country where people follow the rule of law, during elections, you obey and respect the will of the people. When you are governing a country, you shun corruption, and anyone who is caught with these hands in the cookie jar must be punished, because we have laws that govern, corruption in the country. But you see, in our country today, the ESCC and the ODPP are fighting over graft cases, and you wonder, can we move forward? So, ladies and gentlemen, there are very many problems bedeviling our country. And while some people believe we need to talk, others are saying, no, we need to act. So it is talking, having a conversation, and acting. But there is one element that I want to talk about, that if we are not careful, we'll consume this country into ashes. And for us to understand what I want us to talk about, I would like us to start with a speech that was made in an event when Kenyans attended the burial ceremony of the late Chief of General Staff, Francis Ogola.
I want to give accolades to Your Excellency. Your Excellency, you earn the kudos for being the first Commander-in-Chief to make a Luo to be the Chief of Defense Forces. That, I give it to you. Your Excellency, there are some positions in this country that Luos will never occupy. If a Luo was in such a position, that would be a miracle. Your Excellency, the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury, that position, a Luo has never held that position. A Luo has never held the position of Principal Secretary, Treasury. Even the Attorney General, we have never seen those positions. So I think, let us remember that General Ogola is the first Luo to sit in that position. And that's why, Your Excellency, when members of my community are expressing their concern about the way the end has come, And let us agree, my friends, the end is smelly. The end is smelly.
Now, the prayers of Alego Songa, member of parliament, somehow came to pass because William Ruto, in the middle of the crisis, after accusing some quarters of UDA of trying planning to topple his government, decided to form what we call a broad-based government, and he appointed Dorcas Oduor into the position of Attorney General. Of course, she's a nominee waiting to be vetted. And he also appointed John Mbadi to head the docket, the Ministry of Finance. But ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this has really caught my attention is that I have realized that what has been ailing this government, or what has been ailing our country, is tribalism and what we call shareholders. So that when a president has been elected into power, the people around him believe so much that only the people who voted for him are entitled to the national cake. Listen to Rigathi Gachagua.
Na kila Mkenya apate maendeleo kwa sababu analipa kodi. Na rais ni baba wa Mkenya wote, afanyie Wakenya wote kazi. Lakini in the leadership of President William Ruto there is some shareholding katika uongozi wake. Na rais, wale shareholders halisi katika uongozi wako ni hao wameketi hapa siku ya leo. Na ndio tunasema rais afanyie Wakenya wote kazi, kila sehemu ya Kenya ipate maendeleo. Lakini wale wa kumsaidia ndio wafaulu ni wale wanamuamini, waliunga yeye mkono na wanamuelewa. Kwa sababu huwezi chukua wale hawakuelewi, wale walikuwa wanasema hutoshi, hufai, uambie wakusaidie kazi yako itakwama. Kwa hivyo rais, mimi nataka niseme mbele yako, mbele ya chama, ya kwamba in your leadership, these are the true shareholders of your leadership, and they must occupy the rightful place in that leadership because they believed in you, they believed in your policies, they believed in your ability to steer this country to the next level. Muko tayari tumkaribishe kiongozi wetu?
So the situation has been like that anytime you ascend to power, the people who voted for you, the community that voted for you, will always get the lion's share. And those who did not vote for you are always left scavenging for for what is remaining. And this has been the problem in our country, and that is the reason why people fight so hard for presidency. That is why people even die in the process. In 2007, Kreidler talked about this, that the presidency is so prestigious. But the fact that William Ruto appointed people from this community into those dockets tells us that it is possible. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because we have over 43 tribes in the country. And so what about the Ogiek? What about the other tribes that have never tasted such prestigious positions? And this is the reason why I started by giving you a headline that William Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga are planning for major constitutional changes. As people talk about the constitutional changes, I have a feeling that we should now make it compulsory that anytime a president is elected, then there is a percentage that he must give the communities that never voted for him. Look at what is happening today. If you look at the oil sector, you'll realize that it is full of Kalenjins. If you look at the head of parastatals, full of Kalenjins and maybe some members from Mount Kenya. This is something that is ailing our country, and none would have put it better than John Magufuli himself. As we begin to talk about constitutional changes, we should not only be looking at how to dish out positions. My worry is we are entertaining tribalism at the expense of our country. Our elections are always heated, and it leaves scars after the declaration of the win of the presidency. And in order to heal our nation, I have a feeling that we need to form, and this should be in the constitution, or members of parliament should move in very fast and ensure that once, let's say you are a Luo and you've already been elected as a president, then you pick, um, let's say I pick, you pick maybe, let me use Akisi, for example, as a deputy president. Then it should be compelled that some of those ministries that are considered to be prestigious, maybe the Ministry of Constitution, Finance, Security, then you should not hold them because already you are already privileged. So you look at those people who are not in your cabinet. For example, you've divided, we have a president, a deputy, we have a prime minister. Then you should be compelled to ensure that those that are being seen to be very prestigious, you give them to other communities. Because I personally, from where I sit, I don't understand why certain communities are not entitled. That since independence, that you have communities that have never tasted those that we feel are prestigious positions. And I found it is possible, and that is why William Ruto did it. Even though he did it when he was in a crisis and he was accusing some quarters of trying to topple his government, but he did it. And my worry is we should not wait for a crisis. We should have a nation which is organized, so that even as you contest for a presidency, your tribe and the tribe of your deputy know very well that nyinyi hakuna kuchukua finance, hakuna kuchukua attorney general. I don't know, I could be wrong, but it touched me that there are people, it is not only the Luos where Atandi is coming from. There are certain communities that don't feel like they are part of this country. They are not part of this country. And ladies and gentlemen, my point that I want to submit to you very humbly is that let us relook at how to compel, how to make it compulsory. It can be entrenched in the constitution, it can be passed in parliament, so that any time after election, every person, I know there can never be equality, but there can be equity. Why, for example, should I am as a president, make sure that when we have maybe 20 parastatals, just an example, then 10 of them are coming from my community. Then I leave the other 10 to be distributed among the other communities. It is wrong. And that is why I'm saying that if we're talking about the constitutional changes, and let us say this, Ruto must adhere to what the Gen Z told him. But at the same time, this does not stop people from trying to, make changes. Like, I would really wish that what Sam Atandi talked about should now go into parliament and they move a motion, if they really love Kenyans, and talk about make it compulsory for even youths to be part of a cabinet, to be part of the government, to be part of the parastatals, so that we don't just talk about a nation because we want to dish out positions. And let us shun tribalism, because if we are not careful as a country, tribalism will consume all of us. We tend to align by the political realignments. And I've always sung this song that when Luyas are now in good terms with Kisis, the political de facto leaders, then Luyas and Kisis are now friends. When the de facto leaders disagree, then they don't see eye to eye, wananchi hapa, wale local. And we need to shun and let us not allow politicians to determine how we live with our neighbors. I don't know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, but I have a feeling that in terms of appointments, we should compel a sitting government to ensure that they don't hold the prestigious positions.